So how good was Cruz Ramirez? I mean, not only did she defeat Jackson Storm, but she also got Lightning McQueen to be her mentor, and she earned the coveted sponsorship with Dinoco. Since her arrival on the Piston Cup circuit, Cruz has won races, befriended legends, she's grown a fan base, and all of this together makes it seem like she's set up to win the Piston Cup. But will Cruz be able to escape the shadow of Lightning McQueen and the next gen racers to become one of the greats? I mean, can she be a champion even if she isn't a true next-gen race car? Well, by going through her stats and her background, I want to determine whether or not she's deserving of the hype and how far her career will go. Now, first, I think we need to confront and explore the fact that Cruz Ramirez is not officially a next-gen race car. But what do I mean when I say that? Well, the truth is that while Cruz may be capable of competing in the Piston Cup, she was right when she noticed early into her life that she's not like a lot of the race cars in her generation. You see, the next gens were designed for the sole purpose of being dominant competitors in the Piston Cup circuit. Unlike the race cars in the past, who were traditionally stock cars, the next gens were modern racers who possessed newly optimized form factors, cutting-edge technology, and advanced training simulators. They were the most advanced race cars ever assembled, and each of them were constructed to reach their maximum potential on the track. And of course, the greatest amongst them was the 2017 custom-built next-gen racer, Jackson Storm. So while Cruz will definitely be remembered as a part of Jackson Storm's generation of racers, as a stock 2017 CRS Sports Coupe, she is not considered a next-gen racer. But while this puts her at a disadvantage, it's not by much. You see, while Cruz may have not had a V8 engine like Lightning McQueen and Jackson Storm, her high-performance D0HC V6 engine brought her plenty of speed, and with an aerodynamic Venturi channeled chassis, which optimizes airflow and reduces drag, along with a lightweight alloy body, she got close to the specs of the next gens. In fact, she was even slightly faster than her mentor, Lightning McQueen. You see, while Lightning had fallen off to a top speed of 198 miles per hour when he met Cruz Ramirez, she had a top speed of 210 miles per hour. While Lightning could go from 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, Cruz could do it in 3.8 seconds. Sure, she still wasn't as fast as Storm at 214 miles per hour, but she was close, and that's all she needed. Yes, in a time trial, Cruz would lose to Jackson Storm 100% of the time. She wouldn't stand a chance, but that's not how you win the Piston Cup. The Piston Cup circuit is won through head-to-head racing, and with Cruz's speed and acceleration, her specs could keep her in the race, even against the next gens. And I mean, this is even proven from her first time as a racer. Before Cruz had ever even been formally trained, she had grown up as the fastest girl in her town and had been given the opportunity to race in her youth. And even after turning that chance down and rising to be an accomplished trainer, she could clock speeds on the simulator that were faster than the racers she was training. Oh, and that's not a casual feat. According to the Essential Guide for Cars 3, even with her limited time as a trainer, she worked with some of the best rookies in pursuit of the Piston Cup. Cruz wasn't just faster than the average car, she was faster than the average racer from Lightning McQueen's generation. And she had it in her to keep up with the most promising new talent going into the Piston Cup circuit. Cruz Ramirez had raw talent. Sure, she wasn't a next-gen racer, but she had racing in her soul. But to beat Jackson Storm, Cruz would need to find an edge for herself. Speed would always be a limiting factor for her against the next gens and any other future racers. She could never take the top spot from Jackson Storm through her speed alone, but she had a path to victory laid before her if she was bold enough to follow it. Cruz may not have been built to be the fastest race car in the world, but she could be one of the smartest. You see, Cruz loved racing. Ever since she saw Lightning McQueen flying across the sky as a young race car, she's been in pursuit of becoming a race car herself. Before school, she'd do laps in the dark, she'd save every penny to see the races when they'd come to her town, and she'd study the history of the racing world, which of course included one of the first female race cars, the legendary Louise Barnstormer Nash. And even after she found success, we learned in Cars on the Road that Cruz continued to give back by forming a racing school and creating a nonprofit for the lightly treaded. And the truth is that even when Cruz's insecurities got in the way of her dreams to become a racer, she couldn't be stopped in her pursuit of excellence in the racing world. To remain in the industry, Cruz chose to apply everything she knew about racing to her role as a trainer. And according to the Essential Guide for Cars 3, she not only became the best trainer at the Russ Dees Racing Center, but she was arguably one of the best in the country. Cruz crafted personalized training plans that combined physical fitness, mental training, and development using advanced racing simulators to cultivate highly competitive race cars. Specifically, Cruz became well versed with the XDL 24 GTS Mark Z racing simulator provided by the Russ Dees racing team, and she had the full support of Sterling to utilize every tool at her disposal to make the best racer she could. Through Cruz's time as a trainer, it's clear that she knew what it took to become a great race car. She literally had already guided racers to achieve her dream. Cruz Ramirez had the specs, the passion, and the knowledge to be a racer. The only thing she lacked was the guts to fight for a spot and gain experience. Her dreams would never come true if she didn't take the time to develop herself instead of all the race cars around her. She needed someone to believe in her, and there was no one better to do that than Lightning McQueen. With Cruz having Lightning as her mentor and crew chief, she joined one of the most legendary dynasties in racing. Doc Hudson raced in the earliest days of the sport and became a champion of all time before he trained Lightning McQueen. And Lightning came onto the scene as the world's fastest race car and inevitably tied the king for the most Piston Cup wins in history before training Cruz. Now, this institutional knowledge is being passed on to Cruz. She's carrying on the work of Doc and Lightning, idols of hers, and she's making the most of that wisdom. You see, Cruz may have had the physical ability to keep up with Jackson Storm and the coachable racing mind to navigate a race, but when she met Lightning McQueen, she didn't believe it. For most of her life, she didn't see herself as a racer, and that kept her off the track. But suddenly, with Lightning, Cruz was given the permission and encouragement to pursue her childhood dream. And it was being done by the race car who inspired her. Now, when Lightning and Cruz met, she may not have had the experience necessary to win. I mean, she admitted that the simulator is a lot different than being on the track, but through their journey to Florida, a lot of her gaps were filled in from all of the wild events and the incredible wisdom that came her way. And she used it all on race day. I mean, when Cruz and Lightning went out onto Fireball Beach, the Essential Guide for Cars 3 claimed that was the first time she'd ever coached a racer outside. When she won the race at Thunder Hollow with Lightning's help, that was the first time she'd ever won anything and was recognized as a racer. Man, and when she removed her muffler and got to race against Lightning in Thomasville, she got the chance to sound like a race car. She got to spar with one of the greats, and she got to prove to herself that she could not only keep up, but she could win. Throughout the Florida 500, Cruz stuck to her line. She found her windows. She drafted off of other racers and flipped off the wall just like Doc Hudson used to in his glory days. She remained a quick learner who was operating off of instinct and strategy. She found the opportunities that came her way, stayed focused when distractions arrived, and instead of relying on speed, she outsmarted even the best of her competition. Of course, on top of all of this too, she's also now sponsored by Dynaco. Tex and the rest of the Dynaco racing team that backed the king throughout his entire career is now in full support of Cruz Ramirez. I mean, she will forever have all of the support and resources that she could ever need and want in her racing career. Cruz is truly set up for a bright future. But how good will Cruz really end up being? I mean, Cruz has raw talent and an obvious passion and commitment to the racing world. She's young, hungry, and eager to learn, but I don't think she's going to be able to reach the same heights as Lightning McQueen. The dominance that Lightning experienced came about because he was able to combine the wisdom from his mentorship with his speed and power. But Cruz never had that luxury. While Lightning was the fastest race car in the world in his rookie season, Cruz is lagging behind from the start of her career. Now, let me be clear, Cruz Ramirez will absolutely be competitive, and I think she's going to win many Piston Cups. She'll find a way to keep up with her generation, even against Jackson Storm and the next gen racers. The racing world is what Cruz loves the most, which means that she will continuously be able to discover new tactics, refine her techniques, and think out of the box to stay ahead of her competition. But Cruz is competing at a time where technology is advancing at a speed like never before, and if she's already behind in speed today, it's hard to imagine that throughout her career she will be able to maintain her positioning as a top contender for long. What happens when new technology continues to be introduced that will push the top speed of racers forward? How can we possibly expect Cruz to have the same kind of longevity as the King or Lightning when the landscape is changing so quickly? I mean, we've already seen through Lightning that experience and knowledge isn't enough to keep you in the race. Sure, Cruz Ramirez has everything she could ever dream of right now. She has the fabulous Lightning McQueen as her crew chief, the world-class Dinoco racing team behind her. She has Doc Hudson's racing number, the support of fans and legendary racers, and a lifelong dedication to the sport. Cruz has proven to herself and everyone around the world that she is a racer, but no one can fend off the rookies forever. Right now, Cruz is experiencing the ride of a lifetime, but I don't believe she's going to surpass the legends who came before her. Consider following for more cars videos like this one. And finally, I'm Isaac Carlson. Thanks for watching and have a magical day.